welcome everyone. Good to see you all. Excited for this teach-in today. We are joined by Nancy Sharver and Mike Didario, and we are talking all about mold and mold remediation. And Michael has actually an interesting background and start to this, so I'm going to just let him jump in and share a little bit about how he got started and some of the research he's been involved in, and we'll go from there. Please, everybody, put your questions in the chat for sure, and we'll circle around to those when we can. But let's just go ahead and jump in. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to let Nancy kind of explain that part, and then I can talk more about step-by-step, hands-on, in the home, and that kind of stuff for you guys. Okay?
And then
awesome, perfect.
Yeah, so.
All right. So the other evening we're at a party, and Michael sees some old friends, and as usual, the question inevitably always comes up. So what do you guys do? Most people have a response like, oh, I'm an accountant, a teacher, even a contractor, and that pretty well describes what you guys do in 1 minute sentences, right? So then people will say that, and then you move on to the next topic of conversation. But for us, pretty much like all of you, we think functional medicine, a one-word response just doesn't seem to fit. Excuse me. Even Google doesn't have a category for us and what we do. Even though we have been providing our services for more than 10 years, it's hard for us to explain it, and even harder for people to understand it or see a value to it until they need us. The kind of just like what situation you're in is functional medicine doctors and environmental assessors are trying to forge a new frontier. I want to start off today by telling you a little bit about SafeHouse. Prior to 2006, Michael and I, we had a business that helped small businesses sell to the government. We earned a very good reputation, and one day we were contracted by a company that manufactured a product for the Department of Defense in response to a possible biological attack or world pandemic. Who knew? This technology, obviously ahead of its time, could open and penetrate a spore cell wall, as in the case of anthrax. In pursuit of new markets for this company, the products also had claims to eliminate household molds, and since it wasn't made from bleach, it was safer and less corrosive to use. We started looking for government contracts for our client and found a technical grant sponsored through Health and Human Services. So in 2008, we wrote a white paper in collaboration with the Mahoning County Department of Health in Youngstown, Ohio, in response to a HUD demonstration grant to determine a possible link between mold exposure and asthma and allergy triggers. Akron Children's Hospital and Mahoning County provided 30 homes with children under the age of 12 suffering from asthma and allergies. The grant focused on trying to determine, first, if mold existed in the homes. Second, if it was an underlying trigger to asthma and allergies, what products and methods could effectively remove the source, and what was the outcome over a 2-year time period of doing so. To our shock and awe, we won the grant. So
we were shocked.
We were shocked. And be careful what you wish for at that point. So we quickly realized the responsibility and the burden to make sure that this was done right. So that began a search to find one qualified company that could do all of the following requirements of grant. First, determine if mold existed in the home, identify the source, create a testing strategy based on moisture mapping and a limited visual assessment, which Michael will explain to you in a few moments, verify the findings through surface and air sampling, use results to write a treatment plan for remediation, provide the service, identify if the property needed repairs and if it was a single event that caused the problem, and finally, conduct a post-remediation evaluation and verification.
So before you go on, I just wanted to explain. So the grant primarily was, our part of the grant was to just identify a product that would remove mold or clean mold that would be safe for people to use in the home. And that was kind of our niche or our piece of that whole project. But when we won the grant, we found out it was much larger. So go ahead, Nancy.
So our search started at the top because we were government consultants. We knew how to go about identifying somebody within the continental US that could potentially help. So as it so happened, we actually located a certified industrial hygienist located in Cleveland who understood the responsibility. He had the experience, and actually the experience with our product itself, because he had used it at the U.S. Postal Service in Washington, D.C. to address an anthrax condition at one time. He forced us to raise the bar beyond traditional, at the time, what was considered mold cleaning services, as well as was more than willing to provide us the training and guidance so that SafeHouse could then execute the deliverables of the contract with his help, because at that point, nobody else existed. So after going through this whole process and helping these children and their families and the changes in their lives, we just realized that we needed to do this. Michael teases and says, well, we were bored with making real money, so we decided to do this. So we've been looking really forward to talking with functional medicine practitioners and doctors because of what we learned in this grant process. And what we learned is that one of the biggest problems is that traditional medicine continues to treat the symptoms and never considers the environmental conditions. But our grant demonstrated the need to find the root cause and eliminate it in both the property as well as in the person in order to resolve the problem as a whole. So in other words, there's a need for building relationships between functional medicine physicians and clinicians and the environmental assessor.
So did you talk about, you got more?
No, that's okay. You can talk about it.
But where's the rest?
Where's the rest?
Where's the rest of this part? Okay, so